Nobody expected it to feel this personal. Nobody expected it to feel this loud. But when DawnStaley walked into that arena and locked eyes with KimMulkey across the court, you could feel the temperature change. This wasn't just South Carolina versus LSU. This was pride versus pride, dynasty versus defiance, structure versus spectacle, and by the final buzzer, one thing was undeniable. DawnStaley didn't just win, she shut it down. LSU came in talking confidence, talking revenge, talking statements. KimMulkey pacing the sideline in designer fire, daring South Carolina to blink first. The crowd was electric. Social media was already in war mode before tip-off. Angel Reese fans were loud. South Carolina faithful were louder. But then MiLaysiaFulwiley happened, and everything shifted. Because what unfolded wasn't just a victory, it was a takeover. A cold, calculated dismantling, wrapped in poise and precision. Fulwiley slicing through defenders like they weren't there. South Carolina's defense suffocating LSU's rhythm. Mulkey's animated reactions growing more desperate by the minute. This wasn't luck. This was preparation. This was culture. And this was a message sent directly to Baton Rouge and the entire country. The standard still runs through DawnStaley, but here's the twist no one saw coming. This win may have just changed the balance of power in women's basketball, and the fallout is already exploding. This rivalry was never just about basketball. It was built on tension, on recruiting wars, on sideline stares that lasted a second too long, on press conferences where every word felt calculated. DawnStaley and KimMulkey don't just coach teams, they command empires. South Carolina under Staley has been the picture of discipline, quiet dominance, a machine built on defense, development, and culture. No chaos, no theatrics, just execution, banner after banner. One Beretti talent year after year. Aaliyah Boston, Aja Wilson, names that became legacies under her system. LSU, under Mulkey, different energy entirely. Flash, swagger, bold statements, emotional fire. A program that thrives on spotlight and spectacle. Angel Reese waving the ring, Mulkey clapping back at critics, headlines following every move. Where South Carolina builds in silence, LSU explodes in noise. And that contrast is what made this collision inevitable. Last season added gasoline to an already burning rivalry. LSU's rise, South Carolina's standard. Every matchup felt like a referendum on culture versus charisma. Who was building something sustainable? Who was riding momentum? Who truly owned the SC? Behind closed doors, recruiting battles intensified. Elite prospects forced to choose between structure and spotlight, between Staley's blueprint and Mulkey's boldness. Every commitment felt political, every decommitment felt personal, and the players felt it. South Carolina players spoke about the standard. LSU players talked about respect. The words were different, but the edge was the same. This wasn't just another game circled on the calendar. This was the measuring stick. And then came MiLaysiaFulwiley, a rising star with flair, creativity, and a fearless streak. Some questioned whether she could handle the spotlight in games this big. Could she stay disciplined inside Staley's system? Or would LSU's physicality swallow her confidence? Staley saw something different. She saw evolution. Behind the scenes, Fulwiley was being sharpened. Film sessions, defensive assignments, footwork drills, not just highlight plays, fundamentals. Staley wasn't building a viral star, she was crafting a weapon. Meanwhile, LSU leaned into their identity, physical inside presence, emotional surges, momentum runs that feed off chaos. They believed they could rattle South Carolina, speed the game up, turn it into a war of energy instead of execution. And for weeks leading up to this matchup, the tension simmered. Press conferences became chess matches, Mulkey praising her squad but hinting at unfinished business. Staley speaking calmly about growth and standard, but her tone carried steel. Analysts debated which culture would win. Social media split into camps. Hashtags flew. Fan bases clashed. This wasn't just SEC standings. This was legacy positioning. For Mulkey, it was about proving LSU wasn't just a moment, that the spotlight wasn't temporary, that the fire could outlast the foundation. For Staley, it was about protecting the throne without ever saying she owned it. And when the ball went up, all that history, all that tension, all those whispered recruiting stories and sideline glances condensed into 40 minutes. But what nobody realized was that this game wouldn't just reinforce the rivalry, it would redefine it. From the opening possession, you could feel it. This wasn't basketball, this was pressure. LSU came out swinging. Physical screens, hard fouls, Aggressive drives straight into South Carolina's chest. Mulkey pacing the sideline, clapping hard, barking instructions, trying to speed everything up. She wanted chaos. She wanted emotion. She wanted the game to feel uncomfortable. And for a brief moment, it worked. South Carolina missed early shots. LSU grabbed defensive boards. The crowd roared with every bump, every whistle. Cameras caught Mulkey nodding aggressively, like she could already see momentum tilting her way. Then DawnStaley did something terrifying. She didn't react. No frantic substitutions. No emotional outbursts. No visible panic. She folded her arms, leaned slightly forward, and let her team settle. That calm. It spread. And then MiLaysiaFulwiley checked in. The energy shifted instantly. First touch. Hesitation move. Defender frozen. Explosive step. Layup through contact. No celebration. Just a stare. Next possession. High pick. LSU hedged aggressively. Fulwiley split the trap like it wasn't even there. Dump off assist. Easy too. Mulkey screamed at her defenders. LSU tried to trap harder. Tried to bully her with physicality, but something was different. Fulwiley wasn't rushing. She wasn't forcing. She was dissecting. Midway through the second quarter, the first shocking twist hit. LSU went on a mini run. Crowd roaring. Mulkey animated. Momentum building. Fulwiley walked the ball up slowly. She called for isolation. Freshman. In this rivalry, in this pressure moment, everyone thought she'd pass. She didn't single quotes. T.step dash back. Defender leaning, 3-point dagger. Nothing but net. The arena went silent, and Staley didn't smile. She nodded. That nod said everything. LSU tried adjusting. They switched defenders, threw length at her, tried to speed her up again, but Fulwiley wasn't playing fast. She was playing controlled chaos. Every move had intention. Meanwhile, South Carolina's defense tightened like a vice. Closeouts were sharper, rotations cleaner, help side communication louder. LSU's drives started getting swallowed, shots became contested, frustration started creeping in. Mulkey got hit with a technical after arguing a no call. That was the second shift. Because once the emotions boiled over, South Carolina smelled blood. Fulwiley didn't just attack, she orchestrated drive and kick, backdoor cut, pull up defensive steal into fast break finish. Every possession felt like LSU was reacting instead of dictating. And here's where it got even more dramatic. Late third quarter, LSU within 6, crowd desperate for a spark. Fulwiley picked up her fourth foul. The entire arena buzzed. Mulkey clapped hard, pointing at her bench, smelling opportunity. This was the moment. Without their rising star, would South Carolina crumble? Staley called timeout. Cameras zoomed in. No yelling. No panic. Just direct eye contact. Trust the system. That was all she said. South Carolina came out of that huddle, suffocating defensively. They forced a turnover, then another. They slowed the pace down to a crawl. LSU's frustration grew louder. Shot clock violations, bad shots, forced drives. And when Fulwiley returned early in the fourth with 4 fouls, she didn't hesitate. First possession back. Defensive strip. Coast-to-coast finish. Second possession. No-look assist in traffic. Third possession. Another pull-up jumper. Mulkey looked stunned. Because this wasn't just talent anymore, this was takeover mode. The final 5 minutes felt inevitable. South Carolina up double digits, LSU pressing desperately, Mulkey animated, clapping, shouting, trying to spark life. Fulwiley hit one more 3. She didn't celebrate. She turned, jogged back on defense, eyes locked forward. That was the moment the rivalry tilted, not just because South Carolina was winning, but because a new face had just seized the spotlight under DawnStaley's calm command. And LSU had no answer. If you thought it ended with a win, you don't understand rivalries, because what happened after the final buzzer was louder than anything during the game. South Carolina didn't storm the court. They didn't scream. They didn't chest bump at mid. They walked off like it was expected, like this was just another checkpoint on a larger mission. And that hit LSU harder than the scoreboard. KimMulkey stood near the bench, clapping sharply, jaw tight. Cameras caught her saying something to an assistant, quick, frustrated, clipped. She didn't look defeated, she looked irritated. Because this wasn't supposed to happen like this. LSU was supposed to rattle South Carolina instead. South Carolina exposed LSU. The press conference became the second battleground. Reporters leaned forward, microphones ready. They wanted drama, they wanted friction, they wanted Mulkey versus Staley Part 2. Mulkey went first. She praised her players, talked about toughness, mentioned missed opportunities, but there was edge in her tone, subtle jabs about officiating, a reference to momentum swings, a comment about experience gaps. Translation: "We'll be back." Then DawnStaley stepped to the podium. Translation: "We'll be back." Then DawnStaley stepped to the podium. Calm, controlled, almost surgical. She congratulated LSU, complimented their competitiveness, and then she delivered the line that sent social media into a frenzy. "We don't rise to the occasion. We live there." Boom. Not loud, not aggressive, but devastating. Because that wasn't just about one game. That was about standard. When asked about MiLaysiaFulwiley, Staley didn't gush. She didn't crown her. She said something even more dangerous. She's learning. Learning. After what everyone just witnessed, that comment landed like a warning shot across the SEC. If this version of Fulwiley was still learning, what happens when she's fully formed? Meanwhile, LSU's locker room wasn't quiet. Reports leaked that players were frustrated about defensive breakdowns, about rotations, about communication. Nothing explosive, but enough to show cracks. Angel Reese faced cameras too. She spoke confidently, said they'd adjust, said one game doesn't define a season, but body language never lies. Her answers were sharp, direct, slightly defensive, because this loss wasn't just tactical, it was psychological, and that's where the second shocking twist unfolded. Late that night, clips of Fulwiley's highlights flooded social media. Crossovers, stepbacks, steals, slow-motion breakdowns, analysts comparing her growth to early AJA Wilson development, others calling her the future face of the SEC. LSU fans pushed back hard. This was just one game. Wait until March. Revenge. Tour loading. But something felt different. Because this wasn't a lucky hot shooting night. This was structural. Dominance. And recruits noticed. Within 48 hours. Top prospects posted cryptic tweets. "I am fire emoji." South Carolina edits circulating everywhere. The ripple effect extended beyond the hardwood, because when DawnStaley wins like this, it's not just a stat in the column, it's leverage in recruiting rooms, in film, sessions. In the minds of opponents, and Mulkey knows that. That's why the escalation isn't over. Sources close to LSU hinted at internal adjustments coming, defensive scheme tweaks, possible lineup shifts. A renewed emphasis on discipline. Mulkey thrives in adversity, but here's the problem. South Carolina doesn't look rattled, they look hungry. Staley ended her press conference with one more line that quietly fueled the fire. "We haven't played our best basketball yet?" If this wasn't their best, then what is? And the rest of the country is starting to realize something uncomfortable. This rivalry isn't cooling down, it's accelerating, because now it's not just about Staley versus Mulkey. It's about Fulwiley stepping into a spotlight that might change the power structure of the entire conference. And LSU just felt the first wave. But the season isn't over. And March remembers everything. By midnight, the internet was on fire. Clips of Fulwiley's step-back flooded timelines. Freeze frames of Mulkey's sideline reactions turned into slow-motion edits of DawnStaley's calm nod racked up millions of views. This wasn't just a game recap anymore. It was a narrative shift. Hashtags trended nationwide. Staley standard. Fulwiley takeover. LSU exposed. Sports talk shows opened with it. Analysts replayed the fourth quarter on loop. Former players weighed in. Some praised South Carolina's composure. Others questioned LSU's discipline under pressure. And then the comparisons started. Fulwiley to Aja Wilson. Fulwiley to early Diana Taurasi. Fulwiley as the next generational guard rising under Staley's system. That's when LSU fans erupted. They called it recency bias. They called it disrespect. They reminded everyone about championships, about rings, about Mulkey's resume, but the damage wasn't about trophies, it was about optics. Because on that night in that arena, South Carolina didn't just win, they looked inevitable. Recruits noticed. 5-star prospects posted reaction videos from their living rooms. That's how you run a program. One caption read, "South Carolina graphics departments worked overtime." Fulwiley edits circulated in recruiting circles like currency. Meanwhile, LSU message boards buzzed with tension. Was the defensive scheme outdated? Should rotations change? Was too much reliance placed on emotional momentum instead of structural control? Mulkey didn't help the storm when she briefly dismissed the standard comment in a radio appearance, saying, "Standards are proven in March." That line split the country. Some called it confident, others called it defensive. DawnStaley, of course, didn't respond. She didn't have to. Her silence carried weight. Inside South Carolina's locker room, celebration was brief. Players posted a few highlight clips, then it was back to film study, back to practice, back to sharpening details. That discipline contrasted sharply with the online chaos, and the WNBA world noticed too. Aaliyah Boston tweeted a simple fire emoji. Aja Wilson reposted Fulwiley's crossover with the caption, "Keep building." When legends acknowledge growth, it amplifies it. The fallout wasn't just fan noise, it was cultural momentum. The SEC standings tightened. Analysts began projecting South Carolina deeper into March scenarios. Bracketologists adjusted seedlines overnight. For this wasn't catastrophic, but it was uncomfortable, because in rivalries, perception fuels pressure. The next matchup was already circled. The revenge narrative. Already forming, and somewhere inside both programs, adjustments were being planned. Film rooms glowed late into the night. Defensive drills intensified. Because the public reaction may fade, but the psychological edge, that lingers. And right now, it belongs to DawnStaley. Just when everyone thought the story was written, DawnStaley flipped it. 2 days after the massive win, during a quiet media availability that wasn't supposed to be explosive, she said something that changed everything. She was asked a simple question about MiLaysiaFulwiley's rise. She paused, smiled slightly, and then said, "We haven't even unlocked her yet." The room went silent, because if that performance, the takeover, the poise, the dagger shots, wasn't unlocked, then what exactly is coming? That line spread faster than any highlight, and here's the twist. Nobody saw coming. Sources inside the program hinted that Fulwiley hasn't even been running the full offensive package yet, that Staley has intentionally been holding back sets, limiting exposure, saving wrinkles, saving them for March, saving them for LSU, saving them for when it matters most. That revelation shifted the entire rivalry narrative. Because this wasn't South Carolina peaking, this was South Carolina pacing. Meanwhile, reports leaked that LSU has been aggressively studying Fulwiley film, reworking defensive schemes specifically to contain her downhill explosiveness, double teams, early traps, switching length. But that's where the psychological layer deepens. When you adjust entirely for one player, you create space for others, and South Carolina has depth, dangerous depth. Then came the most shocking development. A top 5 recruit, previously leaning toward LSU, posted a cryptic message, "Culture over chaos." Within hours, recruiting insiders began speculating about a possible flip. Mulkey's camp denied concern. But, make no mistake, recruiting battles are silent wars. Staley just gained momentum. Rivalry isn't just about this season anymore. It's about control of the future. Control of the SEC, narrative. Control of the next generation. And here's the final layer. Late at night, Fulwiley posted one sentence on her Instagram story, "Just getting started." No emojis. No explanation. Just that it wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it echoed. Because LSU now knows something dangerous. They didn't lose to hype, they didn't lose to luck. They lost to structure, they lost to growth, they lost to a system that evolves instead of reacts. And if DawnStaley truly hasn't shown everything yet, if Fulwiley truly hasn't been fully unleashed, then this rivalry isn't cooling down, it's loading. March is coming. And if these two collide, again, under brighter lights, the explosion might be even louder. The standard was defended, but the war, it's far from over. If you just witnessed what we all witnessed, then you already know. This wasn't just another SEC win. This wasn't just another rivalry chapter. This was a power shift. Staley didn't just beat LSU, she reminded the entire country where the standard lives. And MiLaysiaFulwiley didn't just have a good game, she announced herself. Loudly, dangerously. And if this version of South Carolina is still evolving like Staley says, then March might get scary. Now I want to hear from you. Was this DawnStaley's biggest statement win of the season? Is Fulwiley officially the most dangerous rising star in college basketball? And did KimMulkey just lose the psychological edge in this rivalry? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's debate it. If you love elite coaching chess matches, if you love high-stakes rivalries, if you love watching dynasties build in real time, hit that like button. Subscribe so you never miss the next breakdown. Turn on notifications, because when these two programs collide again, you know it's going to be explosive. The rivalry continues. The standard remains. And this story, it's only getting bigger. Standard remains. And this story, it's only getting bigger.